Hey Joe, it's Folks here. Let me ask you a question. Do you think print on demand is saturated? Over the last 10 years or so, according to the Google trend, print on demand is booming. More people than ever are interested in running a print on demand store. And this has left some to wonder if print on demand is even worth trying in the year 2025. To make this decision, I think it's important to first understand what print on demand actually is. A print on demand business is a business that prints its products on an on-demand basis. Essentially, this type of business does not hold inventory. The business owner partners with a supplier that will print the item for them when a sale is made. The supplier will then package and ship the item directly to the customers. And this is something that happens automatically because of the way you are setting up your store. And if you truly understand this, you will also understand that print on demand as a thing is not real. What I mean by that is it is just how we are fulfilling our orders. We are still creating an apparel or home decor or accessory business. We are just using a print-on-demand fulfillment method, which means this really can't be saturated because we are creating businesses and types of stores that have been around forever and will likely be around forever into the future. And many studies do predict print-on-demand to grow. They're predicting that by the year 2030, we are going to see a 26.3 compound annual growth rate each year. This same study as well predicts that by the year 2030, there will be $38 billion per year in print-on-demand sales globally. And if that is something that you are trying to take advantage of with your own print-on-demand store, this video is 100% for you. I have been selling print-on-demand products since 2016. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know to get started. I'll be talking about things like trademarks. I'll be talking about things like budgets and how shipping works. I'll be talking about refund policies and a lot of other things that people that are beginners typically have questions about. And if you are just getting started, I do have a free print-on-demand course. It's called POD for Dummies. Inside, there's over 30 videos showing you how to build your store. There's a link down in the description. And to start, I want to break down the two methods to sell print-on-demand products. The first is you could sell on Amazon. You could build a Redbubble shop and basically let them manage your customer service, your returns, all of that. Essentially, list products for sale on a place like Amazon or Redbubble. It's not really a real print-on-demand store or a brand that you own. Honestly, if you are worried about saturation within the world of print-on-demand, I would stay away from option one, which is, like I said, selling on one of those platforms. Option two is you running your own thing, right? Selling on Etsy or on Shopify. Personally, I do sell on Shopify. I think if you are concerned about saturation, again, that might be a better option for you, mainly because at this point, there's over 10 million people selling on Etsy. Many people are recommending to find a low competition niche in order to stand out. And personally, I like to sell products on social media, and Shopify is the best for that. Either way, though, what a lot of people don't know is that with a print-on-demand store, if you're building your own thing on Etsy or on Shopify, you have to pay for your products. Obviously, you're not having to order inventory in advance, but you still have to pay your supplier for the item. It's important for you to understand how this works when you get into running your first print-on-demand store, because let's say that you start your store and you have 100 orders that you now need to pay for. If you have 100 sales, your supplier is going to bill you for 100 sales. Yes, you have money coming in from your customer, but that is going to take a couple of days to actually hit your bank account. Essentially, there are two transactions. Your customer pays you and you pay the supplier. The supplier doesn't just deduct the product costs from what the customer is paying you. They actually are billing you in a completely separate transaction from the one that the customer is actually paying you to order the products with. This puts a lot of people into a panic. They say things like, what if I start my store and I get 200 orders and I can't pay for them? Will I end up failing? At the end of the day, if you don't have the money to pay for 200 orders, just wait a couple of days, let the money from the customers hit your bank account, and then go into your print-on-demand supplier and fulfill the orders. It's not going to be the end of the world. What I'd also say as well is it's very unlikely that you're just going to turn your store on and all of a sudden have 200 orders from customers. Typically, the amount of orders you have is going to be directly correlated to how much marketing you are doing. So this is not really something I would worry about. I just wanted to mention it. Another thing that a lot of people have questions about when it comes to running their first print-on-demand store is how do returns actually work? Meaning, if they are running their store and a customer asks to return the item, how does that work? One thing that's important to remember is that you are the CEO. You are the one that's building the store. You set the return policy. Obviously, depending on where you live, you may have specific laws in place that do require you to accept returns. Here in the United States, I do not have those laws that are affecting me in that way, which means that I get to guarantee the quality of the items on my store. That way, if there is a quality defect, my print-on-demand supplier that I'm using will replace or refund the order, and I am not going to be accepting returns in any other situations besides a damaged item. I do that because on the store, I tell them all items are made to order and returns are not accepted. One of the beautiful parts about running your own print-on-demand store on a place like Shopify is getting a negative review is not an option. Sometimes if you're selling on Etsy or on Amazon, if a customer leaves a negative review, it can totally crush your store, especially if it is new. On your own Shopify store, customers really don't have that option. If someone is arguing the return policy that I sort of just outlined, you can simply repeat your return policy and reference on the store where it is outlined. Now, in some cases, I have allowed people that are being persistent to actually return a print-on-demand item, but I do require them to pay for the shipping on it. And if they do actually ship it back to you, you could use that return as a sample to ultimately use in your own marketing, to take photos of, videos of, or anything else that you could find a use for the actual product that they have returned. Another thing to mention when it comes to print-on-demand returns is that your supplier is really not involved that much. Obviously, if the item is damaged, then you're going to be contacting your supplier to get a refund or a replacement sent, but the supplier is not going to be receiving the original item from the customers, meaning you're never going to have your customer ship the item to your supplier. Your customer is also never going to be communicating with your supplier because they are your supplier. You are running your own store and your customer is dealing with you. The next thing we're going to talk about is copyrights and trademarks. This is probably one of the most commonly asked questions that I get from print-on-demand beginners, and I want to break it down for you. What's important to remember is that there is a difference between a trademark and a copyright. A trademark is something that a business is actually filing for. It is a legal action that someone is taking to protect a logo, a brand name, or a slogan. Now, a copyright, on the other hand, is a natural protection that you receive when you create something. For example, a trademark would be the Nike logo and the Just Do It slogan. Nike, as a company, approached the federal government and they filed a trademark form request to actually protect their logo and their slogan. Once that trademark was granted, they now have the rights to that. If anybody infringes upon those rights that they have to the Nike logo, Nike could take them to court and show that they have the proper documentation showing that they own the trademark. A copyright, on the other hand, is a natural protection you receive when you create something. So, for example, Hogwarts being the name of a school in the Harry Potter movie and book series. The author of that book did not approach the government and file some sort of a trademark form for every single thing inside of her book. However, because she created it, she has a natural copyright protection to it, which means if somebody was creating print-on-demand merchandise and they were writing the words Harry Potter on it or the words Hogwarts or whatever, the writer of the Harry Potter series could actually take them to court and show that they did write this book and they came up with these ideas, and the person that is putting them on print-on-demand items is in violation of a copyright protection that they own. Essentially, what I'm trying to help you to understand is that a trademark is something you are actively filing for. A copyright is a natural protection that you receive when you create something. So, in terms of a print-on-demand store, something that you could actually trademark would be like your store's logo or the name of your store. You would not be filing for trademark on your print-on-demand designs. Designs don't get trademarked. You can't trademark an entire shirt design. You can, however, get a natural protection called a copyright when you create a design. So, if you're a print-on-demand store owner and you create 33 different designs, you have a natural copyright protection automatically on those 33 designs. If someone ever tried to copy you and rip you off, you could take them to court. You could hire a lawyer, you could go before a judge and present to them that you are the one that originally created these designs. You would in fact have to prove that, and if you were in fact able to prove it, then you could be subject to receive damages paid to you by the person that stole your designs. If someone else used it, they would be in violation of a trademark that you own, and you could take them to court and you could actually prove that you own the trademark for the name or for the logo and show that they are infringing on you. What I will say though is that personally, I have never actually filed for a legal trademark. And I would say for you, do not worry about doing that, especially at the beginning. Long term, if you want to trademark the name of your store and your logo, go for it. Trademarking is a very lengthy process. It's also quite expensive. It can cost almost $1,000 in some situations, and you are not guaranteed to actually be approved for the trademark that you submit. What I would say is if you are just getting started and you're getting into running a print-on-demand store, to just do just that, to get started and not worry about all these copyrights and trademark things with what you are creating. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if someone ever stole a design from me, I'm likely not going to be hiring a lawyer and taking them to court to prove that I'm the one that created that design. I'm likely just going to move on with my life. This is a risk that we all face when we start a print-on-demand business, that other people could copy our designs. And I would say 99% of you watching are likely never going to actually take someone to court. So if that is true, then I probably would just get started and not worry too much about the copyrights and trademarks on your store. The next thing we're going to talk about is how to actually price your print-on-demand products. One thing I always tell people is that you are not dumb and that you have purchased things before. Meaning we all have some insight into what products should actually cost. What I would recommend for you to do is to come up with a range. You could also do some research. You could look at other print-on-demand sellers, see what they are selling, and look at their prices, and then come up with your own range for your items. In terms of actually implementing your prices, what I would do is start at the lower end of your range to validate your stuff first before trying to make sales at the highest price ever. Essentially what I'm saying is you have some intuition based on your life experience where you should have an idea about what different products should sell for. And what I would say to do is to look at some of your competitors as well and other stores that are selling similar items to you and establish a range. And when you open your store, start at the low end and see what happens. The next question is something I've talked a lot about here on my channel. It's whether or not you should do free shipping. Personally, I think it is a myth. You do not have to do free shipping in order to actually make sales. The truth is that most businesses don't offer free shipping on everything. Yes, you can go to Amazon and you can buy something and you can get free shipping all day, every day, no matter what you buy. But most online stores do not do that. Most online stores are charging something. What you could do with your store is you could establish some sort of a flat rate shipping cost and then also set up free shipping if they spend a certain amount. That is typically something that is very common when it comes to shopping online. Whether you're shopping on a home decor store or an apparel store, they likely have a flat rate and then they get free shipping for the customer if they spend over a certain amount. That is what I would start trying on your store rather than just defaulting to a free shipping method when you first open. The reason for this is because shipping can totally eat into your profit margin. Depending on what you're selling, there could be a decent shipping cost for it. I'm not saying to charge the customer the entire thing, but perhaps think about charging them some of the shipping cost to offset a little bit of your costs and ultimately help you to be more profitable. The next thing I want to talk about is the naming of your store. Most people starting print on demand think they have to get themselves a .com domain name. Something that I've been experimenting with for a little bit is a .store domain name. They actually did some studies and they show that stores on a .store domain get 87% more traffic, 2 times the search visibility, and 12% lower cost per conversion. People like Mr. Beast or Michelle Obama or Mariah Carey or Universal Music Group are all using .store domains for their merch stores. At this point, there are over 1 million sellers using a .store domain. Personally, I have used them as well. If you wanted to get a .store domain for a very cheap price for your first year, I will have a discount code in the pinned comment of this video. And if you have any questions about using it, please let me know. The last thing I want to tell you is not to be frantic. If you're starting your store out of desperation or something like a lottery ticket mentality, you're likely going to fail at some point. Print on demand is not a business that you are starting in a frantic way. There is no reason to rush. I would say to take things slow. You are starting a business and that cannot be rushed. It requires some thought. It requires a little bit of planning. It's not something that you're building with a get-rich-quick mentality where as soon as you turn it on, it just starts generating tons of sales. You have to think. Don't just create random things. Essentially what I'm saying is you're actually creating products that you're then going to ask real people to pay for. So they are going to need to be thought about. You do not want to just throw things together in a weekend and call it a store. At the same time though, I would say the most important part is prioritizing the launch of your store, because the quicker you can get open, the quicker you can learn about actually running the store and make improvements down the road. Hopefully watching this video today answered some of the most common questions that a lot of you might have. If you have others, please let me know as well. I can definitely make more of these videos. As I'm making this one here, we are at the end of 2024. I do plan to launch a 2025 print-on-demand series here on the channel in the near future. So if you do have any questions, please let me know and I can include them in future videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.